Hello. Hey, guys. Surprise, surprise. Decided to jump on here this afternoon because I was bored and I needed my friends. Cheers to coffee. How's everybody doing? Good. Can you guys hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Oh, that fall. Can you guys hear me? You can hear me. Okay, good. I never know if this is connected or not. I'm going to try my hardest to not, I have to look down here at your guys' comments down here. So, and the camera's up here. Yes, the fall was scary and embarrassing. Could have easily edited that out, but I decided not to because for the reasons I explained. Always like to let you guys know of things to be aware of. And I was sore, quite a bit sore. My left hip and my knee was sore last night, but I woke up just fine this morning. So yay, happy for that. Let me know where you're tuning in from so I can shout out your state or your city. What's everybody doing? I hope you guys aren't glued to your TVs or social media with everything going on. Memphis, hey Brooke, Memphis in the house. New Zealand, good morning Judy, in the house. Missouri's in the house. Cleveland, Tennessee's in the house. Wyoming's in the house. New Jersey's in the house. I hate to admit it, but I watch the Jersey Shore. I have watched them since my youngest son was a teenager, and it was a popular thing, and he'd always have it on. And then I just got invested as they got, older and got married and started having kids, and now I watch them. North Carolina, Philadelphia's in the house. Central Massachusetts. Awesome. Hopefully you guys are staying away from social media and not letting that bring you down with everything going on in the world. It's so funny because I wrote on Instagram that I'm not going to be a slave to it. And I refuse to be a slave to all the bad news going on in the world. And this is not political at all. It's just there's bad news everywhere you turn. And so I go to YouTube or I go to Instagram to see pretty things and see happy things. And everybody's talking about what's going on in the world. And I'm like, geez Louise, all of a sudden everybody's an expert on war and it drives me nuts. Oh my gosh. Hey, Mississippi's in the house. Did I say Philadelphia, North Carolina? Yep. Yeah, you have to stay away. And Virginia. Thank you, Anne. That's so sweet. I think a lot of people get confused because I'm a homemaking channel and I just assumed, that home and garden, people would know that I'm home and garden, that I do all of it because I just like doing everything across the board. I just share what I do. And that's why there's gaps in between projects because I'm actually sharing what I'm really doing in life. So, I don't do projects every single day, or I don't have Panama City, Florida in the house. Virginia, another Virginian. Thank you. Thank you so much. Nicole's Journey. I watched one of your videos this morning and that beautiful little garden that you have with the praying hands is so beautiful. I love it. I commented on it. I haven't checked YouTube to see if you saw that, but so beautiful. I love that. If any of you guys have a channel and you need somebody to subscribe, let me know. I'd love to support you. Florida, another Floridian in the house. Oh, I love Florida. We still have so many places that we want to visit in Florida. Maryland's in the house. You got it. 100%. I'm always, I love how you tucked your plants inside other plants. And when they get big, they're going to pop out and just look so beautiful. I just think that's so adorable. I still want a plant out there, but I got to do it too. Because even from my last video, I showed you guys how big everything is when we got home. Even since then, everything is exploded all over again. It's crazy. And my hydrangeas the blooms are turning white and Puerto Rico's in the house. Canada, Debbie. Texas. Another Floridian, Port St. Lucie. Awesome. Another Maryland person. That's awesome. Yeah, so everything has exploded. It's because it's so humid. Well, I shouldn't say it's so humid. It's only 78% humidity today, but it's hot. It's hot and humid. I'm glad. I'm glad I inspired you. I think, everybody that wants to start a channel should, because there's an audience out there for everybody. The only advice I would give you is to always remain genuine. Always, 100%. Because if you don't, and I always tell everybody that, they will find you. The people will find out that you're not genuine, and I'm not one of those channels where I create content I create content, meaning I don't storybook my videos. Maybe I should, but I don't storybook my videos. And storybooking your videos is just, you are prepping I'm not that kind of channel. I guess if I was that kind of channel, I would storybook my videos, but I like to be genuine and just real and just share what I'm doing. And I'm really comfortable in front of the camera, so that helps. That's something that, is a good thing to have. But I do like the channels that, they storybook their videos. But that's how they started out. That is, they came up with the idea that they wanted to have a channel, and so they came up with a way to film their videos and edit their videos, and their videos are created, down to what they're wearing, based on the color of the background and all that kind of stuff, which is cool. Makes for great entertainment. I just don't have it together like that. So, oh, is that where you moved, Lenore? Oh my goodness. That's awesome. Oklahoma's in the house. Hopefully your weather is okay today. I know we have, we're not going to get severe weather. I don't believe the weather anymore. So I go to, we'll see, I've got a strike, it's blue skies with clouds, and I've got a weather bug alert saying there's a lightning 3 miles away, and I'm like, where is it? Listen, in the south the storms blow in pretty quickly, so that's very possible, but it's rained every single day, poured down rain every single day, so it's wild. Yeah, it's what are we right now? We are 90, but feels like 97, and it's the humidity. And see if the humidity has went up. I'm going to get my hair done. Oh, where's my part? It's opposite here. On Friday, I can't wait. Have a very busy day on Friday. Humidity is at 60% now. So, maybe we do have something blowing in, because it usually cools down. But anyways, yeah. I am doing good. So for everybody who was concerned about my fall, I caught myself, but I did have my left hip and radiated into my back last night, and then my left knee, and I was like, great. But I did also go get adjusted yesterday after the fall, so that's good. I had a chiropractor appointment, and I told him, and I hadn't been to the chiropractor the whole time I was in Florida, so I needed an adjustment really bad. Oh gosh, I hate those windstorms that come through, especially after you just planted a garden. Oh, I took my ferns down off my porch because I put them up too soon. Like I do everything, I always start my, I did my coleus too soon this year. The rabbits don't seem infatuated with my plants once everything around the neighborhood and the grass is growing and all of that, because they've got plenty to keep them busy. I planted my coleus too early this year in the front garden. If you've watched my gardening videos, I don't know if it was last year, I think it was the year before, my very first time planting coleus, I will tell you that those were proven winner coleus. They got, I'm going to say 3 feet tall by 3 feet wide. Each little tiny plant grew gigantic in the garden. And Anyways, this year I planted them too early and the rabbits loved the new leaves. So they kept eating from the bottom and just leaving the top. They're finally growing back, as you guys saw, but it's such a pain. But I feel like they're leaving them alone now because there's plenty of other things around the neighborhood to eat, but so many. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I'm feeling great. I still have numbness in my feet. I still can't feel the bottom of my feet, but I'm not dwelling on it. I'm still living my life. I'm back to my routine. I'm cleaning, I'm cooking, I'm doing life, going to the grocery store, driving, doing all the things. Savannah, Tennessee. Oh, Savannah, Tennessee. I didn't know there was such a place. 90 degrees. Yeah, we probably have the same. That's my niece's name, Savannah. I'm going to look, see where that's at right now. Anyways, as I was saying, hopefully you guys are staying away from the TV and you're not letting the bad news. Savannah TV is what I wrote. Let me see. I'm looking to see where that's at. Do I need to go visit it? Is there stuff to do there? Wait, where'd it go? It's only 2 hours from me. Is there stuff to do? I swear I need to get out and explore Tennessee some more. But there's so much I want to see around Tennessee too. And there's so many little towns here in Tennessee that we haven't seen yet that I want to go see because I love the quaint little towns. And every town has a square. And I just love that. And so some of them are bigger than others. Some of them are, bustling and some of them are not. But I find that the ones that are not bustling town squares, like for instance, Wartrace, which is not far from here, and Bell Buckle, which is not far from here. Bell Buckle has a little square. Well, it's their little town. It's a square, I suppose. It's got a railroad track running through it, but there are buildings on the other side. But either way, it's the Bell Buckle Cafe, famous Bell Buckle Cafe is in there, and it's very old school. It's so old school that I went into the antique store when I bought the ice skates for Christmas to put out on the front porch, and there was nobody tending to the antique store. So by the register, there was a note that said, if you want to buy something, walk around the corner to the ice cream shop and pay for them there. I mean, I just love small town America. I just think that's so cool. So I love to go visit the little towns, and I find that the shops and the towns that aren't so, busy are the best ones to go to. The town squares are the best, Lori. I love them. They're, the one in Franklin is very Hallmarky. If you've ever been to Franklin, Tennessee, I think they actually film Hallmark movies there or have filmed Hallmark movies there. It is very Hallmarky. It's so adorable. At Christmas time, they just do it up. It's a beautiful town square, just beautiful. I wish all of them look like that. Ours is nice. There are some, it really is very nice. There are some stores that are still not occupied, some storefronts that aren't occupied. I think they closed down during, the COVID debacle. And they just never, reopened, or they just haven't occupied those places. So that's kind of depressing to me to still see. I hate to see that, but I love the town squares. That's my favorite thing to do when I go to little towns is go to their town square. I'm one of those girls that I don't like doing the touristy kind of stuff. I like doing what the locals do. So I always like to try and find that out. But you always have to go visit the town squares, although those are very touristy. Hey, Chica. How you doing? You doing good? Are you ready for us to go wobble through Murfreesboro? Yep. I couldn't get my hands on any Proven Winners Coleus. I could have if I would have went to the nursery, I'm sure, but I went to just Home Goods. I haven't been to Home Goods in forever. Aren't you guys proud? We did, JK. We went to, Ernie does like his whiskeys. We went to the one in Kentucky, which was about an hour and a half away or so. I'm not really sure. I can't remember. I feel like we got there really quick. A popular one. I don't know about that stuff, but we have On the way to the country house, we have Ernest. What is it called? Ernest something. Ernest. Ernest. Oh gosh, what is it called? Distillery. It's a distillery. Ernest Green. Yeah. The Ernest Green. It's got the world's longest bar. It's very popular. Ernie and I keep saying we need to go there for brunch. They have Uncle Nearest. Yes. Thank you. We have that on the way to the country house. And Jack Daniels we have not been to. I can't. Hey. What is the name of the one we went to? It was a popular one in Kentucky. Anyways, Ernie does like his whiskeys. He has a ton of it. He doesn't drink that often though. So, and when he pours a glass, it's like that, with one ice cube in it. Yeah, we'll have to go to that. We'll have to go, Sherry. Definitely. I'll have to take Ernie. Yes, let's wobble along. Sherry lives near me. She's one of my subscribers' friends. She's one of my friends who's a subscriber. She started out as a subscriber and now is my friend, but she lives near me. And so she's suffering with injury. And so I said, when I get home from Florida, I'm going to pick you up and we're going to wobble around. We're going to wobble around. We'll go to Home Goods because I haven't been in forever. I don't even know. I did go into HomeSense. We have a HomeSense that just opened. And I did go in there, but I did a quick walkthrough. And I actually liked it, Sherry. If you haven't been yet, I actually liked it better from what I saw than Home Goods. So there's that. But our Trader Joe's opened and our In-N-Out is getting ready to open. And you know us Californians and our In-N-Out, we are so excited. So excited. It's been a year since we redid your room. Oh, time just goes way too quick. Way too quick. Yes, In-N-Out. Can't wait. And I've been telling everybody here, I'm like, you do know they have a secret menu. Maybe I shouldn't be telling people that. In-N-Out has a secret menu. And, you know, people who've never been to In-N-Out wouldn't know that. But they have a whole secret menu. And In-N-Out secret menu. So I'm not eating red meat right now. I stopped eating red meat. So since my back injury, and one of you lovely ladies told me that your husband's horrible story about getting paralyzed and all of that, and you put him on an anti-inflammatory diet. So I can't say that I'm sticking to that 100%, okay? But I have cut things out of my diet since you said that. And I cut sugar out of my diet. And I cut red meat out of my diet. And I'm just not eating a whole lot. For instance, today, what did I have today? I've had a salad. It was just a green salad with ranch dressing, some cottage cheese. I had a banana. That might be it. That might be all I had today. What time is it? Yeah, that's all I had today. Salad, a banana. Oh, and a protein bar. I had a protein bar. So that's kind of what I'm eating these days, or how I'm eating. Whataburger. I can't get into Whataburger. I don't know. Maybe I'm not getting the right Whataburger. I've tried it 3 times. Nice. I've been nice and tried it 3 times, and I take 1 bite, maybe 2, and then I throw it away. It's like been a waste of money. Yeah, anti-inflammatory. So I actually used to be have any of you guys ever, and I'm gonna just laugh if not every single one of you don't say yes that you've heard of it. Have you ever heard of Plexus? Put in the comments if you've heard of Plexus, yes or no. I used to be a distributor for Plexus. I still love the product. I have not been on the product for quite some time. You haven't heard of a Plexus? That shocks me when people say no. I adore that product, and it's so good. It's a multi-level marketing company, just so you know, which I was very anti, when I heard about the product. But at the time I heard about the product, I was desperate. And then I seriously accidentally got into the business side of it. It was all on accident because everybody that knew me was seeing my results from this product. They were seeing, I'm not talking just weight loss. I'm talking, and it wasn't just the product. I'll explain that in a minute. It was, they were seeing that. They were seeing my energy levels like explode. They were seeing that I was happier. My skin looked great, like just all this stuff. So people were asking me, it would just be a casual conversation. What are you doing different? You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. And so I accidentally got into the business side of it. Anyways, I made it all the way up to Sapphire, which is 2 away from Diamond, which is the highest you could get. And that was just all an accident. And it was because I was just telling my truth. And so it was kind of cool. But anyways, I loved the product and I quit taking the product. This is so stupid. And I can't mentally get myself back into it again. But I quit taking the product and it was so good. Because there was another company that started. And that company reached out to me and they were trying to recruit me for their company. And the heads of Plexus got a hold of that. And it just turned into like this weird, left a bad taste in my mouth. And so I just quit. I quit taking the product. I quit. I just stepped away from it all. I was like, I did not want any part of this. I was happy until this happened, but I missed the product so bad. So I was taking a probiotic. I was taking a cleanse and I was taking a drink every day, which balances out your blood sugar. And you need the cleanse to like detoxify your just everything. And it was just so good. The product was so good. And I didn't take it for weight loss, which is the funny thing. I took it because I had these white blotches on my skin. And they would get really inflamed and red when I would go out in the sun, and they would get itchy. And I was like, what is going on? And we were going to Hawaii. And no, I did start taking the product. Let me back up here. I did start taking the product for weight loss. I did. Because the girl that I saw posted her results. And so I reached out to her and talked to her for quite some time before I even pulled the trigger. There was a whole money back guarantee and all that stuff. And so anyways, I started on this product and then I had already had like these white spots. It was something that I dealt with at this point, it was probably, from the pool house. So it was years. I'm going to say it was 4 to 6 years, somewhere in that range. I had dealt with this every summer. Well, Ernie and I were going to Hawaii, and I was like, how am I supposed to wear a bathing suit and go lay out in the sun, and then I'm going to get these red, swollen blotches, and then they turn white, and they were just ugly and awful. And so I read about how it was a yeast buildup on your skin. And I was like, well, that's what dandruff is. So I was like, I'm just going to use Head and Shoulders on my skin. So I would take a shower. I bought Head and Shoulders, and I would take a shower. And I bought one of those scrunchies with a long handle for your back. And I would put the Head and Shoulders and I would rub it on my back, in all the areas that was happening. And I would just sit in my shower and I would wait like 5 minutes and then I'd rinse it off. And I did that for like a week and it went away. We went to Hawaii. I enjoyed Hawaii with no red blotchy marks. And I came home and I stopped doing the Head and Shoulders while I was in Hawaii. I didn't do it there and I didn't do it when I came home, and they reappeared. So I was taking just the Slim, which was the drink, and I added the probiotic and I added the cleanse when I got home from Hawaii. So I was taking the triplex. And so I probably about a month later, I noticed that the splotches had just disappeared off my body. They were gone and they never reappeared again. And it turns out it was a yeast buildup in my gut. I had a gut issue where yeast had built up in my skin or in my body. And so that was the way the yeast was coming out of my body was through my skin. And because I was taking a probiotic and I was taking a cleanse, which you need the cleanse when you're taking the probiotic. You don't have to, but it's a good idea that anytime you kill off, the yeast, you kill off anything in your system, you want to flush it out. It disappeared. And because I was taking that, it got rid of it. So then I was sold, and I just told people that story. And so every time I would do like a meeting, I would stand up, like I was asked to speak at things, I would tell that story. I would say, does anybody in here suffer with any kind of skin issue? And I would talk about the skin issue. And there was always 2 or 3 people in the audience that suffered from the same thing. And I would tell my story, and I never promised that it was going to work for them. I just did my own research and it worked for me. And so whatever. Anyways, I really love it and I miss it and I want it again. This was not intended for that, but I just wanted to share with you. It's a great product and it tastes delicious too. And I hear they have new flavors out. So I may be getting back into that again. I'm really feeling like I need it. I really do. Especially since I've been trying to eat a lot of things with, prebiotics in it, probiotics in it, because I was taking a lot of medication when I was sick, and that kills off the good bacteria in your system, which makes you feel like caca. So I need to rebuild that. So I've been trying to do everything possible for that, but that's kind of what I've been doing. Thank you, Teresa. You're so sweet. Arizona's in the house. Cape Cod. Oh, I love that place. Oceanside. We got California in the house. Hey, Lori Smith. Sorry, guys. I have to say hi to everybody. Yeah, Plexus is an amazing product. And I think a lot of people turn away from it because they hear it's multi-level marketing. And of course, anybody that's in the business is going to try and recruit people in their team so that they can make more money. I mean, that's just a natural thing. And that's kind of what I said to people. You don't have to join. I never pressured anybody to join Plexus, because you could join and get a discount on your products, or you could just pay full price. And I would tell people that. Totally up to you. Yes, if you pay the $35 a year to join, you're going to be on my team, and therefore you are in the business. But I would never pressure anybody to sell anything unless they wanted to, So that's how I did it. But don't ever if anybody ever offers it to you, do not ever turn away. It's good product. It's good stuff. But I hate that people associated it with multi-level marketing, and then they would say, oh, I'm not taking it. It's like, why would you do that? Just because of the business side of it, why would you stop taking the product? Unless, what happened to me, of course, that was awful. So I just can't mentally pull the trigger to buy more because I was so mad. But I'm still really good friends with the girl that I signed up under. She's in Vandalia, Illinois, and they just built a beautiful barn-dominium, and she's a diamond. She's actually at the Plexus convention right now, they're so fun. But anyways, I'm still really good friends with her. Thank you, Wendy. You guys are so sweet. So anyways, so I'm so excited that we are going to be starting, trying to decide what room I want to start on first. And I think I may want to do the loft first. I do. I think I want to start with the loft first. I know that I need to empty out the guest room, and I don't think I really explained it well in the video that I have 2 makeovers coming up, which is the what used to be my home decor room and the loft area. And I think the loft area is probably they're not, neither one of them are going to be super expensive. But I am going to take the opportunity to create a really cool guest room this time around, because when I did the guest room, I don't want to say I didn't put any thought into it, but I didn't put any thought into it when I did that room. Let's just be honest. I didn't use my nugget to its full potential when I was doing that room. I was just kind of making do and choosing things that I thought were pretty. I do love that painting. So that painting is going to be a part of that room, that piece of art that I have above the bed. I freaking love that thing. It makes me happy every time I walk in there. But I need to come up with the color for the walls. And okay, so the loft for me is, the color is going to be because that's an open concept room, you know, it's where you walk up the stairs. I should take you guys up there just to kind of, not right now, but I can't take the computer with me, but maybe in the next video I will, or maybe dedicate a video to that, you know, just to show you my ideas. But I don't want to give anything away too, because I like the element of surprise. But when you walk up the stairs, that wall that's right in front of you connects to the loft, and it just keeps going. And then you know, and then it goes down the hallway. So my thought is that all those walls need to be the same color. And that's what I'm thinking. If that was a enclosed room, I would saturate the room with one color. I mean, ceiling, moldings, doors, everything would be one color. Because I think that's a really cool vibe, especially for what we're going for up there. And I think the way I can achieve that is by drenching as many walls in that area upstairs in the same color. I think I can achieve that goal. You know, I won't have the complete saturation like I would want, you know, because I can't do the ceiling because there's no wall stopping it. It's open to the hallways, so I can't do the ceiling. But I think if I drench all the walls that are visible from the top of the stairs to, you know, in the room, I think if I saturate all those walls in one color, I think I can achieve the same feeling. I'm pretty sure. It's so hard to make that commitment. But anyway, so in that room, I have all the furniture. I just need new curtains. I need new end tables. I need a coffee table. I need a new area rug. And that's it. I'm not buying anything else, I don't think. I really don't. And so that's what I need to do for that room. In the guest room, I've never had proper bedding for that bed. I have always made do with queen sheets that I had from leftover. And why did I had a guest room in California, so I had sheets from there. And I've used just what I've had for that room as far as bedding went. I only bought the headboard, which, you know, I'm going to keep, I think, in there. I'm not sure. I'm really not. I'm not sure I'm going to keep it. It was very inexpensive, under $200, the whole bed frame. If it works into my design, great, I'll keep it. If not, then I'll sell it and start over. But I'm going to try and keep it. But that room is not only going to be the guest room, it's also going to act as my daughter-in-law's office when she's here, because my son needs to have a little office space in what's going to be their room, which is now right now it's the guest room, but it's going to be their room, and that room's quite large. So I really would like to have the upstairs loft open areas done and then move into the guest room. So I'm thinking that. So and for that room, I'm kind of looking, I hate Pinterest right now. Pinterest makes you second guess what you love. It just does, you know, and my thing is that I get on Pinterest. I know what I like. I know exactly what I like. I know what makes me happy. And my problem is that I'll see something pretty and then all of a sudden I think I like that style too. And so I'll make bum purchases based on that when that's really not my style. So it sucks because I like to go to Pinterest for inspo, but it then kind of starts to mess with my mind. So I really have to stick to something. But then, you know, I'm going to have to paint that room. I already have the desk. I already have the bed. I already have the mattress. Like, that's all good and done. I have the artwork. I have nightstands for in there. If they fit, I don't know if they're going to fit. I'm guessing they will, but I'm not really sure, 100% sure. And that's it. And then I have that big wicker chair that I bought on consignment. I think I got it for like $60. And that is certainly not going to fit in that room with a desk and all of that. I really don't believe that it will. So I may have to sell that. or get rid of it. I don't want to take it to the country house because I don't have any use for it over there, and I don't want to start using the country house as storage for things that I'm not going to use at that house or this house. So yeah, because here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to, and let me explain that. When they do move out eventually, I'm not going to turn that back into the guest room. So that chair will never be needed again, you know. So that room will then become the bunk room for the grandkids. So, and it's kind of better because it's the bigger room of the two. So it kind of works out better that way. Isn't that funny how things work out? So anyway, so in the meantime, we're going to, be doing that room over, but I got to come up with a solid design for that because once I'm done with those two areas upstairs, I don't want to touch them again. Like I want them to just be done. So I want to start it from beginning to end, and I don't want to have to add anything. I don't want nothing. I don't want to say, well, I'm just using this because I have it. No, I want to do things right and just be done with it. And so because of that, it's going to take a lot of thought that goes into the design, because I don't want to make any bum purchases. I mean, if I buy anything from Amazon, I can always return it. But what I'm saying, because it's really hard now to buy from Amazon. I've had more than 5 things come that showed a different color on Amazon than what it actually was when it arrived, which is a major bummer. So they're using filters, I guess, in their pictures, which sucks. That should be not allowed. They shouldn't be allowed to do that, but they do. And so the true color is not coming through. So that makes shopping for bedding really hard because, Home Goods isn't always going to have anything. But again, I haven't been to Home Sense because I haven't actually physically shopped for that yet. So once I get it all, solidified and get everything collected, then I can go through and we can start doing the rooms. So we're going to do that. And so yes, country house on hold. Like I said in my last video, this back injury set us back about 8 weeks. And then during that time, we found out our son and daughter-in-law were moving in with us, and 4.5 months from now. And so I need to concentrate on that. And it's going to take a minute because, it's not, like I said, I don't want to do a flimsy job or just let me just buy this because, or let me just use this because I want it to be done, So it really isn't living in Cyprus. Living in Cyprus says that she agrees Whataburger is not all that. I've tried it 3 times. 3. I almost said 4. 3 times. Yeah, it's just not. But In-N-Out, chef's kiss. Love it. Indiana's in the house. New Zealand's in the house. Another Texan. 2 more Texans. Welcome, welcome. So where in Texas are you? I have family in, actually, what was Sugarland? I think that they've moved from Sugarland. I'm not really sure now. Sorry. My sister lived in Sugarland, and then they built a house out at the farm. And I can't remember where the farm's at. Where's the farm? The big cattle farm. And I can't remember the name of where it's at. You guys are all so sweet. Hey, Jennifer. Patty's from Tennessee. Where in Tennessee are you from, Patty? So Ernie, unfortunately, when we were on our way back to the apartment from the beach in Florida, we got a phone call very early in the morning and found out that his aunt had passed away. And he was considering going to California for the funeral, but it's unfortunately in the middle of the week and he's got to fly cross country, so it's not going to work out for him. It's very sad. You just never know what life is going to bring you. Yeah, she's not in Sugarland anymore. She's in, where is it? They lived in Sugar for many years. Many years. And then I can't remember where Huntsville? Is it Huntsville? I think it's Huntsville. I'm looking. Huntsville, Texas, not Alabama. Yeah, I think it's Huntsville, Texas. That's where they're at. Am I right? Something with an H. Sorry. She's the oldest out of all of us, and we don't really talk. So, I mean, she sends me videos on Facebook or Instagram. That's about it. Oh, thank you. Hey, Super Florida. Another Floridian. Is it raining where you're at, too? Well, was that a lightning alert for Gainesville? Yep, it was for Gainesville. It's about right. So there's a storm moving through Gainesville because I just got an alert for lightning. Yep. A nice little storm going through there, which is always so fun. Now in Florida, when it rains like that, it doesn't cool down at all. Here in Tennessee, when we have the storms in the afternoon, it cools it down so nicely. I'm good, Pam. I'm doing really good. Yeah, it's Huntsville. That's where they have, I'm pretty sure that's where they have the farm at. I'm doing good. I really am. I'm doing great. I have no back pain at all, no hip pain. I'm not waking up with Charlie horses. Those are completely gone. The only thing left is the numbing at the bottom of my feet, and then sometimes my legs, it's very blotchy. And then one of my toes burns a lot, which is nerve pain, so it drives me nuts, which is very dangerous when you're with water. So today I mopped my bedroom, and I made sure to mop myself out of the bedroom, and I was wearing shoes or my sandals. I haven't got any shoes yet, but I need to start wearing shoes in the house. That was my second almost disaster fall, because if you guys remember, I think it might have been like a year ago or less, when I was in the bathtub cleaning and I slipped in the bathtub. I've had way too many close calls. So, and Ernie's so funny. He thinks he's my dad, and I know he's listening right now. Hey, Dad. He'll text me all the time. What are you doing? Did you wear shoes? Are you okay? How do you feel? Don't do that. Make sure to do this. Make sure to do that. So I just call him Dad. Sorry, I'm looking to see if the storm is moving in. I don't see anything. What is going on? Do you guys hear that? I keep getting alerts. Nearby special weather statement. Oh, that one's for Florida. Okay. But anyway, so yes, I'm looking. Look, I need to look and see if anybody's asked me any questions. I'm so sorry. I think I'll get the filling back too. I hope. If not, it doesn't matter. I'm just thankful to be alive. I know. I'm very careful, Judy, of my feet. Believe me. I had to be, because so the rug here, when I come from the coffee bar into the office, or here in the den, or when I walk into the living room, I need to make sure to lift my foot, because I have caught my slippers on. That's why I go barefoot in the house, because I've caught my slipper on the rug, and luckily I don't trip or anything. I feel that it stops me. So that's why I don't wear my slippers just walking around the house. You'll see me clean barefoot all the time because of that. But yeah, it's you don't realize how your numbing feet affect you living, until it happens. I don't wear shoes in the house. That's why you guys don't see me wearing any shoes. So I have to physically go out and buy a pair of shoes that I only wear in my house, because I don't wear shoes in the house. I won't wear shoes in the house that I've wore outside. That's gross. So I have to go buy shoes that are just for my house. I have to go buy house shoes. And they need to be comfortable, because if I'm going to be cleaning and running around, they have to be comfortable. And those Hokas or Hokas, whatever they're called, those are expensive. So I'm like, do I really need to spend money on another pair of those? I might. Those suckers are hard to walk in and get used to when you first turn, because the back is lifted up. It rocks. You like rock. I put them on the first time and I was like, whoa. It's crazy how they do that. And that's the way you're supposed to walk, right? It's just wild how you rock back like that. It took me a minute to get used to walking in them. Yeah, I need to get a pair of slippers or sneakers, like cleaning shoes, just for the house, because the sandal or the slippers are not doing it for me, because I told you guys, because my feet are numb, I'll walk right out of them and I don't even realize it, which is so funny, because I walked out of them. I was doing dishes and I went and sat on the sofa and I put my feet up on the coffee table. I'm like, where'd my slipper go? It was still at the kitchen sink. I didn't even realize it. It's kind of funny. Yes, being numb is so crazy. It's wild. And my left leg, my left foot is much more numb than my right foot. It's in my toes, like it's wild. It's so wild. And I have to like hold my foot and like massage it to feel like I'm human, like it's attached, because I'm like, it's so weird. It's the weirdest thing, but I have gotten used to it. So there's that. But I also have the numbing in my lower back, too. So, and like when I say my lower back, like my lower back and the top of my butt, like that part is like all numb. So that's why I said in the video, my last cleaning video in Florida, where I think, and I still haven't done it because I'm dumb and I need to do it, but I need to get a hold of the hospital and find out the names of the shots they gave me and find out if that's a side effect. So I was talking to my daughter-in-law the other day and I was telling her, I think that one of the shots they gave me caused this numbness. And she said, probably, because when I had my sciatica, because she has issues with her back too. And she said, when I had my sciatica, the doctor gave me a choice of the shot for my nerve that I would have to get like every 3 months or every 6 months or something. And it would block, it would block that nerve. It would like block it. So I don't know. I don't know if anything they gave me. I didn't ask questions when I went into the ER. I just took whatever they said they would take the pain away. I took it. That's how I roll. Like when I was in pain, just give me whatever you got. Hook me up. I was kind of the same way when I was in labor. Just give me whatever you got. Just make me not feel the pain. So it's a horrible, horrible thing to experience. Y'all know, a lot of you guys. Yeah, I grew up calling them tennis shoes all the time. Too many things are changing in the world. Okay, I say soda pop. You know, yeah, I say soda pop. That's what I call it. I want a soda pop. You know, of course, when I go to a restaurant, I have to ask for like Coke Zero or something. But I don't really drink. I mean, we have sodas here, but we don't really drink it. Ernie and I we buy the minis, and so like sometimes at dinner, after dinner or whatever, both of us like, you want a swig of soda? So we'll open up a mini, and each of us will take a swig. But we don't sit and drink soda. I mean, back in my 20s, I would drink a 6-pack of Coke a day. Oh, that's true. I do need to look into the MyPillow, because I have noticed several of the girls wearing what look like the MyPillow ones. You know what? I need to look into that for sure, because you're right. They kind of look like slides, right? Like the slides. I need to look into that. The only thing is I need something with the back, for the reason I said that my feet slip out. And sandals are hard for me to wear. I wear my flip-flops because I love wearing flip-flops. But I have noticed that it's hard for your toes grab when you're wearing flip-flops. And it's hard for my feet to, I don't know. It's a whole thing. It's like I have to learn how to walk again in different shoes. It's just wild. Oh, my plants have gotten some good watering. Oh my gosh. Every day since we got home. When we drove home from Florida to Tennessee on Thursday, we hit the worst storms ever in Georgia. They were so bad, like blinding rain, where we had to put our flashers on. I was in a complete panic the whole time driving, just praying, Lord, get us home safe. I kept telling Ernie, do we need to pull over? We should get off the freeway, because people are jacks and they just cruise through that stuff like it's not raining. And I don't care if you're born and raised in an area where it rains like that. Don't be a jackass and speed by me at 100 miles an hour when I can't even see the cars in front of me unless they have flashers on because the rain is so thick. And the roads were flooded. Like, I was blown away. And I'm like, those are the people that cause accidents. You know what I'm saying? Like, it pissed me off. I was so mad. And Ernie, I make him nervous because I'm nervous. And I told him it's not your driving that I worry about. It's people like that, that are just zooming by you. Even the truckers slow down. You know what I mean? And truckers have places to be. But even they slow down in that kind of weather, And I just, I don't know. Some people are just dummies. They just make me mad. Kane, I'm writing that down right now. Thank you. I got a discount code, my pillow. Okay, cool. Perfect. See, this is why I love this community. Tennis shoes. Because you wore them when you played tennis, I'm sure. Because I played tennis my whole life growing up. We did actually play tennis. My sister, the one that I just said that they built a house on their farm and she lives there now, she was married to a tennis pro and they had a tennis shop. And so he sent my two older sisters tennis rackets and we would go to the school across the street. We would play tennis, but we'd hit the ball. We weren't really playing by rules or anything, but it was fun. It was really fun. Okay. What was I going to tell you guys? I was going to tell you guys. Okay, so I have and here's another thing too. I really want to do the garden and I need to sit down, the front garden. I want to expand it. I don't know that I'm going to get anything planted in it this year, but if I can I need to get approval for it because it's going to go all the way to the sidewalk. And so I do need to get approval for it. If I was doing it just like I didn't get anything approved in my backyard except for the trees. That's all I got approved in my backyard. But my gardens are my gardens. Is that it? I don't remember. Anyways, but the front, I need to draw it out. And then I need to submit it and get approval. And I get approval really quickly. I already talked to my next door neighbor about it. And she's like, just plant hydrangeas. They're my favorite flowers. And I said, okay. But I told Ernie, even if we don't get it planted this year, I would like to get it drawn out, the grass cut, and then put the cardboard down and mulch it. So it could winter over like that. And by next spring, we'll be ready to plant. And I say mulch it because I don't want to waste, I'd rather wait and put the good soil when we're ready to plant and then have good soil delivered because and it's so funny because we did the exact same thing with those two gardens at the end of the driveway. And you guys, it's so funny, the comments that I get on that video still to this day, which is over a year ago. And they'll say, oh, this will never work. It's never going to work. It's going to be full of weeds. I have this kind of the monkey grass, in my garden and it's spread and, everybody wants to tell me what we're doing wrong and it's still beautiful as can be. The only thing that we changed is putting the border to match the rest of the garden around the front of it. And, but the monkey grass hasn't spread like everybody thought it was going to because I'm a smart girl. I'm 60 years old. I know that shocks people that at 60 years old, I know some things. But when I went to the nursery, because, I kind of have an idea of what I want to buy before I go, especially if I'm going to the nursery. And I go to the nursery when I'm buying specific plants because Home Depot and Lowe's don't always carry everything. So I have to go to an actual nursery to find some of the things. And point in case, that particular garden, I wanted monkey grass. So when I was talking to her about it, I had already read that monkey grass was invasive and it would take over, and a lot of people would say, oh, I have it up and down my driveway or my walkway and it fills in and blah, blah. And I was like, ooh, I don't know if I want anything that fills in. So when I went to the nursery, I asked her. And so she said, no, this is the non-invasive. She said, this one is the one that will spread, which is a great thing for like a hillside or an area of your garden or yard that you just want green and you don't want to have to worry about spending all the money. Put a few plants in there and it'll spread. But it's so funny because people are like in that video to this day, oh, that monkey grass has probably overtaken her whole yard. Or, they'll say, it's never going to work. Everything's going to die that's in there. And I just laugh because I'm like, do they not even realize the video was posted like a year ago? And all they have to do is watch newer gardening videos to see that it actually is doing great. So it's so funny. Hey, Lisa. So it's so funny when people do that on videos. And I was watching Laura and her from Garden Answer, and they were gardening. I think it was last year they were doing a video. And well, even this year when they were planting next to the barn, where Aaron was talking about how he wants to replace the roof on the barn. And they just kept explaining why they planted those two, what were they? The two trees, tulip trees. And those trees get 60 feet tall and 50 feet wide or, whatever. And they planted them probably about, 5 or 6 feet away from the barn. And so in that video, they kept explaining why they were planting them. Like they have to explain. And Aaron kept saying, because people will say, and I'm sure people will say, and I'm sure people will say, because it's so funny. I'm not perfect. When I watch videos, I think things when I'm watching videos, like I'll watch a video and be like, what? Or whatever. But I would never type it to somebody. I would never be so arrogant to go to somebody's channel and say, you did this wrong, or you should do that. Or, it's just so wild to me that people feel that. But I guess that's what the computer and the phones give people. I hate this era, you guys. I really do hate the era. Our pastor has been talking a lot about this. And I shared on Father's Day, or the day after Father's Day, or actually on Father's Day, I think I shared it. It was the sermon from that day. And the video for, the book that we're studying right now is so good in the beginning. There's always a really cool video to kick off, the Bible study for that Sunday. And it was talking and really just showing the distraction that this has. And, I was thinking to myself, if all those people put the energy that they put into, that kind of stuff into, because you have to be really into this and really into scrolling and, it always, you have to be really, this has to be like your life in order for you to go to people's complete strangers videos, or even if you feel like you know them, and criticize them, right? Like, could you ever imagine doing that? You guys say stuff to me and I don't take it as criticism at all. I love our Golden Girls situation we have going on here. I love the friendship that we have here. I think it's great. We're like friends, you know what I mean? So that's different. But I'm saying, I'm sure you guys have seen him. You've seen him. I made a mention about how I had 3 or 4 people come on the videos when Ernie was doing all the work. They don't bother to look at your history. They don't bother to see what's going on in your life. They just pretend to know who you are and what's going on. And I got the poor Ernie, he's doing all the work. First of all, ma'am, no poor Ernie, okay? I don't tell my husband what to do. I do not have a whip. That man is his own man, and he does what he wants to do. Anna does not control her husband, okay? We have a very traditional marriage. He is the man, and I am his wife. he helps me because we love each other and we love our home and we love our garden. And I was injured and he was so gracious to take on all the work himself during that time because he knew that it needed to get done and I couldn't do it by myself. But if you would bother to go back and look at older gardening videos, you would see that I do plenty when he's not around. And it just blew my mind. And so Ernie would laugh because I would type out my response and then I delete. And I said, oh, good, I got that off my chest, because it's just, I'm not the girl. I am not the girl. I'm a sweet person. I really am. And I would take my shirt off my back and hand it to you. But I am not the one. I am not the one that you come for without expecting to get fire back. I'm just not. I'm not confrontational unless you are first. And that's just how I am and how I roll. I just am. And so when you have to, especially when you are on this kind of platform, and I will say in the beginning, it was very difficult for me because I would just delete those comments or I would just suck them up and like them and heart them and move on. And I hated it in the beginning because I was so afraid that I was going to lose followers. People were going to hate me. And then one day I just said, you know what? I don't really care. If you want to unfollow me or, unsubscribe because I'm protecting myself from bullies or from jerks, then bye, because you're not my people. You know what I mean? And Ernie kept saying, babe, you're going to find your people. You're going to find the people that are going to surround you, that are going to just like you for who you are. And I feel like the only time you guys ever really get to know me is when you see me talking live. Like, this is who I am. This is how I am. For real. I'm really a nice person. I really am. It's just, man, people are just awful these days. Just awful. And it is the generation that can bully people and be mean on this. Back in my day, we didn't have this. If you wanted to be mean or bully, you had to do it to somebody's face. And so I feel like, we are the last generation of, what'd you say? You know what I mean? We're like the last. Opinions shouldn't hurt feelings. People's opinions do not hurt my feelings. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. That doesn't hurt my feelings at all. You may have an opinion about a cleaning product I use or a paint color I use or a plant I put in the ground, and you are totally entitled to that opinion. That doesn't bother me one bit. It's the backhanded opinions that come with a smack at the end. You know what I mean? What is it called when somebody is patronizing? Is that the word? I don't know that patronizing is the word I'm looking for. But do you know what I mean? When somebody is giving you, it's kind of like a backhanded compliment, but it's not a compliment at all. They're telling you why you shouldn't have done that. You know what I mean? That's not an opinion. That's not, if you have I don't know if that was probably the best choice. I probably would have done this. I'd be like, okay, there's a thought. You know what I mean? But when you come in hot and you're like, oh, I wouldn't have done that because that's going to do this and that and the other thing. It's like, whoa, nobody asked for that. You know what I mean? So exactly, Laura, but like I said, opinions don't bother me. I really do not care. I actually love the opinions. I learn a lot from opinions, actually, because one of my human errors is that I think my way is the only way. And Ernie will say to me, your way is not the only way. And he'll suggest things, and I've had to learn to listen to him. Therefore, I've learned how to listen to you too, because you learn a lot when you just listen and you don't always do this. You know what I mean? When you listen. And so it's a good thing. I actually appreciate it. I appreciate everybody's opinions. And I love it because, you know what, if we were just hanging out and having coffee and you came in here and you said, I don't know if this color is good, I would expect my girlfriend to say that to me. You know what I mean? What if you did this color? or whatever. That would be a conversation, But if I had a friend that came in and said, "Oh, I hate that color. It's awful. Why'd you paint your room that color?" Then I'd be like, let me have your coffee cup. Go home. That's how I'd be. And they'll tell you that too. My girlfriends will tell you that. I've had girlfriends since I'm 13 years old, and they all know me and they love me for who I am because I'm honest. People don't like honesty anymore, and they don't like to hear the truth anymore, which is why I stay off political posts. I don't do political at all because of that. So passive aggressive, yes. And then, you get trolls, but this is a subscriber only chat. I have a button where I can click subscribers only. So I know only the people on here are people that I love. So I don't have to worry about any of those trolls because those guys come on here, creeps. But yeah, so we have a generation, which is very sad. And I was listening to a podcast today. Oh my gosh, a podcast today, and it was talking about, I don't follow any of this because, it was talking about traditional women versus the independent feminist. Traditional versus feminist. And I guess that's a thing right now online. I don't know. I don't follow any of it. But she was showing videos. She was showing, the extremes of both, right? So I guess to combat because, the feminists, they don't want men to hold the door open for them. They don't need a man. They can do everything themselves, all the things. They hate men. And then, the ones that she showed, I shouldn't say all feminists are like that, but, and then so I guess to combat that, then there's this other movement of this traditional, the trad wife. So if you go onto Instagram, I haven't done it yet. I'm not going to do it. But if you want to, I guess if you hashtag trad wife, accounts will come up where they're, I don't even know if they're real, to be quite honest, because some of them that she showed were, I'm a very traditional housewife. My job, I consider it my job, is, and always has been, to take care of my children, my house and my husband, and to, I always made sure the house was clean when he walked in the door. I always made sure that I'm a very traditional, and there was always a hot meal. When we first got married, we lived in the second story. I would literally look out the window and wait for him to pull into our parking spot before I served his food because I wanted his food steaming hot when he sat at the table. I would get up every morning. I would make him a hot breakfast, and I would make him a hot lunch, whether that meant, tortillas and whatever. And I would warm the tortillas up and I would put them in foil. And, I would make sure that they were still kind of warm by the time he ate. And it was a whole thing. And that's what I did. That was my life. And I did the laundry and I cleaned the house and I took care of the kids, and it was a whole thing. And I took a lot of pride in that. But I find out that is under attack. And I'm like, what the heck? How could that be under attack? You know what I mean? And so I guess to combat that now, if you hashtag tradwife, I guess there are some accounts where they've taken it to like the extreme, like the 1950s housewife, which I don't have a problem with because I think the 1950s housewife is rad. So is the 40s. Like if I could go back in time, it would be the 40s. It would be the late 40s, early 50s, if I could go back in time. And I have a sister that said to me one time, "Oh, you mean you want to go back to like when men would chase you around the desk and blah, blah." And I'm like, no, because I wouldn't be working. I'd be at home cooking. So because that's what I've always done. And those were the women that I looked up to when I'd watch movies. Still to this day, I love watching those old movies. I love it. There was something to me that was so gratifying about raising a family and taking care of my house and my husband and all of that stuff. And I loved it. I guess I romanticized it and it came true. That's what I have. And But so I guess there's like this thing. So I guess if you go to this some of the trad wife videos, they are wearing like these prairie dresses, and they're wearing pretty aprons, and their makeup, full faces of makeup, and their hair done, like you'd see in the pictures from the 1950s. And they're making sourdough breads, and they're canning, and and they're giving instructions on. It's crazy, right? Like, it's just wild. So the funny thing about that, I'm listening to this podcast and I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand, how sad for the girl or the young woman to think that, like, wouldn't want a man to hold the door. Ernie opens the door for me. He walks on the street side when we walk. Like, he's just a gentleman. That's a gentleman. And that's how our boys are. Our boys are just like that. And, how could you like not want that? You know what I mean? In a man. And it has nothing to do with he doesn't think that I could handle myself. It has nothing to do with that. What it means is that he loves me and he wants to protect me. And that's what he is, my protector. And so I don't have to give in to anything. I don't call him sir or ask permission, you know what I mean, for anything, because I genuinely love what I do. So I was thinking about this and I was like, why is there this rift between, the trad wife and the feminine women, or whatever, feminists, whatever they're called? Why is there a rift between them? I super don't get it, because when you're in a loving, respectful relationship with someone, you just automatically want to do kind things for one another. Am I right? Like, you just want to do nice things. I'm so blessed that I have a husband who was 19 years old. Yeah, 19. I gave birth to Michael when I was 19. So when we got married, we lived with my mom and dad while I was pregnant. And Ernie got up, my dad would wake him up every morning, and, like at 4 a.m. And he was a 19-year-old kid, and he would have to go to work with my dad all day and work construction. And my dad was his boss, and my dad treated him harder than he treated any of the other workers, because he didn't want the other workers to ever come at my husband and say, you're getting special treatment because your dad's the boss. So my dad worked Ernie harder than he did anybody else. But anyways, Ernie and my dad were very, very close. And so I think Ernie took my dad's death probably harder than I did. And so anyways, he has always been a hard worker and a provider. And he's worked since he had to stand. His parents owned a restaurant, or they owned a tortilleria in TJ and Tijuana. And he would stand on the crate to work the register. He worked the register. I mean, he worked. That's all he knows is work. That's all the guy knows is work. He's worked his entire life. And he's just the greatest guy. He just is such a great guy. And so why would I not want to reward that hard work with a hot dinner and a clean house? You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't, like, there shouldn't be a fight about that. It should just be, when you love someone, you want to do nice things for them. You know what I mean? And I'm sure it looks very different in a home where both people work, right? There 2 people work, and they've got very busy schedules, plus they've got children and they've got extracurricular activities. Hopefully they're both pitching in. Hopefully dad sees that he needs to help with bathing and sometimes cooking and maybe throwing a load of laundry in, I would assume. My sons are like that. My sons are totally like that. And, they don't see, because Ernie has always showed them that, being machismo or macho is not being a man. You know what I mean? Like, he wants them to be good, strong men, but you can also help your wife. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't sit and, watch TV or watch the ball game and not help. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're capable of getting up and cooking dinner for your family, or cooking maybe dinner, or cooking breakfast on a Saturday. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see a problem with that, especially if, like I said, especially if both people work. But Ernie, he was a worker. I was a stay-at-home mom, and sometimes he would cook on the weekends. You know what I'm saying? And when I had newborn babies, I got Friday and Saturday night off. I got to sleeping because I didn't nurse. I was too selfish to nurse. I like my sleep, and so I just never nursed. I just bottle fed. And so I was a young mom. So anyways, it would have been cheaper to nurse, but I didn't. And so on Friday night and Saturday night, he got up, did the nighttime feeding so that I got 2 good nights of sleep while we had newborns. And, you know, and he worked all week and he still did that. So, you know, that's a great man. And so why would I not want to reward that? You know what I mean? Like, so I think the point is missing. I think there's like a point missing between these two groups. You know, like these trad wives, some of them, not all of them, but some of them are portraying an unrealistic life, something that's completely unachievable anymore today. You know, there is you know, there are people homesteaders that it looks like, you know, back then, because that's what they do. That's their life. That's their lifestyle. And it's a wonderful thing. I love watching them. I think it's great. And, but that's not who this is. This is actors. This is like actors acting like trad wives, which is kind of setting unrealistic expectations, you know, for young women or young girls, teenagers, what have you. But then you have the other spectrum, the super, you know, strong feminist who don't believe they need a man. You know what I mean? Like they need no man to do anything. They can do anything. And I think that's wrong too, because I think that a man needs to feel like a man. You know what I'm saying? Like a man needs to feel like a man. You know, you shouldn't always do everything on your own. And I'm not saying the stupid stuff. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, I mentioned in the video that I did not feel comfortable getting up on the stepping ladder to get my hood and my 2 pendant lights while I'm home alone because I can't feel the bottom of my feet. So I didn't want to do that while I was home alone. And so I'm going to wait for Ernie to come home. That's depending on a man. I'm depending on my man, you know, to either do it for me or hold me while I'm doing it. You know what I'm saying? And for some reason that, you know, side has a problem with that. So I think it's just very interesting to me that there's a issue between the two, because when you're in love, and I think that probably is, I feel like divorce is a normal thing now. Like people just, they get married and they just figure, you know what, if it doesn't work out, I'll just get divorced. No big deal. You know what I'm saying? And that's sad to me. That is really sad. And I say that because Ernie and I have been together since we're 16 and 17, married since we're 18, 19. We had a baby that same year too. And we've been through the ringer. You know what I mean? Like we grew up together and we've been through all of it. Financial difficulties, you know, me trying to train him to pick his clothes up off the floor. Sorry, babe. He was young. You know, undoing all the things that he didn't have to do when he lived at home. Not from his mom. His mom was a hard worker, but he had an aunt that lived with them and she did everything. And so, you know, we had that, you know, and then there was me, who was Miss Insecure. When we first moved into our first apartment, I didn't want to be by myself with the baby. So when he'd go to work, I would make him drop me off at my mom's house. And eventually one day he just said, no, I want you home when I come home from work. And so that first day that he said that and he left me at home with the baby, I called his brother. I said, come get me. And so I went to his mom's house. We didn't have cell phones back then, so he had to call around to find out where I was. And I was at his mom's. So hold on. Let me read through the comments because I get going. My mom used to call me, my mom used to say you should be an operator because of how much I talk. I fit in perfectly here in the South. He is the best though, Lisa. He really is. He had the best time on Saturday when the kids came over and I made that big enchilada dinner with the 2 littles. He just had the best time with them. As soon as Austin, the baby, saw us, he was just all over us. And he does this thing now, this brand new thing, and that's always so much fun. When he sees food, he goes, so stinking cute. So he saw Lito, and of course, Adriana, she had to give Lito his hat, and she gave him a hat that says Abuelo on it. And he just had a blast. He played out in the lawn with them. He took them on golf cart rides and just had the best time with them. But anyways, hold on. Let me just see if there's any questions. A good marriage is a partnership. And I feel like there is that whole people take vows and then they don't live by them. And that's what I was saying. Ernie and I have been through the ringer. He picked me up from my mom's house one morning. We drove to the Justice of the Peace. We got married, and then he dropped me back off at home, and he went to work. And we didn't even live together. He went home that night, and I went home that night. But we were married. You know what I'm saying? So we started off as a statistic, or we should have been a statistic, you know. We started off like that. And so we've been through everything, but we took our vows serious. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like today, in today's world, not everybody, obviously, but I feel like there's this generation that, you know, and even some people my age that get remarried, I think they fall into that category too, where they don't take their vows very serious because they figure divorce is always an option. And you should never go into a relationship thinking that. And if you both are partners, you know, it's a partnership and it's not like you're signing an agreement and shaking hands and saying, okay, we're partners forever and ever and ever. You just do nice things for each other, because when somebody's nice to you, you want to be nice back. And so it's just, you're nice, you know what I mean? And yeah, and you have to be super understanding too that, you know, your partner gets this. And this was probably the hardest thing for me to have to learn as a married woman was, you know, I threw fits, you know, womanly fits. And I never wanted to admit I was wrong. And I think pride is probably one of the reasons that sends people to divorce court, because neither person wants to give up on their pride. And one of the things that we taught our boys and our daughter-in-laws before getting married is we told them, or I had this conversation with them, was, you know, when you get married, you're cruising down the road like this and making sure my hands are up where you guys can see them. And you're going to have a fight or a bump in the road, and you're going to go like this. You always have to make sure you come back to this point. Always. You know, as soon as possible. And I think that's the hard part for people, you know, because they get so prideful and they just keep doing this. They just keep doing this, you know, and they just keep filling this empty space in the center with vacations and jewelry and furniture and bigger houses and nicer cars and, you know, nights out and concerts and all the things, but they're never really repairing what happened down here. You know what I mean? So that they could do this again. They've never repaired that. So we've always told our kids that, you know, you guys, marriage isn't perfect. You're going to have fights and disagreements and arguments. You're going to have to adjust, you know, living together, and you're going to have to adjust to each other's messes and habits and all of those things, you know, and you're going to have fights and arguments, and she's going to get emotional, and, you know, you're going to have it, and it's just going to be a thing. But you always have to make sure to do this, always. And I think that was probably the best advice that we could have given our kids, you know, when they got married. And we only were able to give that advice because we learned that. Nobody gave us that advice. Nobody told us that. And so we had to learn that, you know what I mean? That was an important thing. But I think pride is probably what sends a lot of people to divorce court too early, you know, or they've dreamed on what marriage is going to be like. They've been lied to and told marriage should be blissful, which is where social media comes in. Because, you know, if Susie is watching Karen on social media, and Karen, she's been watching Karen, you know, for years, and Karen met a guy, her Prince Charming, and she got engaged and had the perfect engagement proposal she had the perfect proposal, and then she had the perfect wedding, and then they bought the perfect house, and now they have perfect children, and she keeps the perfect house, and it's beautifully decorated, and she has all the things and the designer purses, and they go to Hawaii once a year, and she drives a badass Navigator, and all the things, right? Susie is like, man, I want that. And then, Brad proposes to Susie, and then Susie gets into this marriage and she realizes, wow, this is a lot of work, and life really isn't like that. Well, guess what, Susie? Life isn't like that for Karen either. Karen just puts on Instagram what makes it look like that's what her life is. But I can guarantee you that's not what her life is really like, which is why you guys know I say social media is complete toxic. It's a completely toxic space. If you don't know how to disconnect from it and read the BS, then, give me the everyday people. I want the everyday people. I don't want anybody trying to influence me because I'm 60 years old. I know when you're lying. I don't want you to influence me into, it could make you feel really bad, especially these young moms. I'm not going to get into that because I told you that is a really toxic space for young moms. It really is. I don't care what you say. It just really is. And this is why I can't watch channels that constantly have paid promotions. I can't do it. I can't do it because I get so many. I will only bring a paid promotion, something, a product that I can't afford myself, or something that I really wanted, and it just so happens that somebody wants to send it to me, and I'll give it a shot. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not, or something my family wants. And we like it because I always say that in my things, because they always come at you and they say, well, we need you to do A, B, C, and D, and we'll send it to you. It's like, no, I'm going to be honest. You know what I mean? Like, if it's a super uncomfortable sofa, I'm going to tell you. And by the way, the sofa that my son and daughter-in-law got, they didn't like it. My daughter-in-law didn't like it. She said it was uncomfortable and they sold it. That the company sent us. So they liked it at first. The kids loved it, but she didn't like it. And I think it's because it didn't really fit in the space in her vision, but she said it was uncomfortable. But so is the sofa they have now. So, I will always be honest about that. And I just feel like if I can afford it myself, why would I do a paid promotion? That's a lot of pressure. You have to sign a contract. You got to read the fine print. They tell you exactly what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? And if they don't agree with me saying, no, I'm going to give my 100% honest opinion to these people. You know what I'm saying? Or send it to me and let me try it for a month, and I'm going to give my honest opinion. Then you hear crickets, they don't want to work with you. So that's why I don't support those channels, because I know how it works in the background. And so I'm like, you know what? Every video really, like, you couldn't afford. I mean, I get the stupidest. Somebody wanted to send me a silk scarf for me to sleep with because they know I've got curly hair, which I heard it's great too, a silk scarf and then a silk pillowcase. I haven't tried it yet. But anyways, I mean, if I wanted a silk scarf, I would just go out and buy it myself. I wouldn't do a paid promotion for it. But I get some of the silliest ones. And I just think, you know what, buy it yourself. And if you like it, share it with your people, because I can put the links on my shop on YouTube. And if you guys buy from that link, I'll get a percentage of that sale just for sharing the link. You know what I mean? Because I only have things in there that I really like, like my cleaning tools and that kind of stuff. And so if a company wants to pay me 10% of each sale for just sharing the link to the product, then I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? Why wouldn't I? I'm the one making the money. This is my job, my business. You know what I'm saying? But to continue every single video to do a paid promotion, it's like, I don't even trust you now. You know what I mean? Because how can I trust the words coming out of your mouth if every single video is a paid promotion? Because I know how the inner workings of it all works. And so, you got to be careful with that kind of stuff. You really do. And that's how Instagram works too. These people are making bank off of paid companies promoting. I've gotten a couple people that have reached out to me on Instagram. I don't even know how that works. I don't even want to touch that. I'm not active enough on my social media. If you're friends with me over on Facebook, I don't really go over on Facebook, only when I need to check like neighborhood things, because that's where my neighborhood page is. They don't have an Instagram. But my Facebook is automatically connected to my Instagram, which I did on purpose. And I don't even think the names match or they're right. But either way, so if you comment or whatever on Facebook, know that I'm on there very rarely. And then I might get a message from you or see a comment from you like weeks after you did it, or a week or whatever, because I'm just not active. It just, whatever I post on Instagram automatically goes up there. So it makes it look like I'm active, but I'm not. So anyways, that's my 2 cents about influencers. And I just feel like social media plays such a huge role in people's emotions and their feelings. It gives permission to people to be jerks, because you've got all these, all of a sudden everybody's an expert. You know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden you've got a platform. So now you've got a platform, and you went to college and you have a minor in psychology. So now you feel like because you have a platform, you can give all the advice in the world. You know what I'm saying? You're not reputable. You just have an Instagram platform, and you said something that resonated with an audience, an insecure audience. And so you got a ton of followers. And then, so now you're just empowered. And so now you feel like you can just say whatever you want, and people are supposed to, listen to you. And so I kind of feel like our media, this is how our media. Now, some of you guys are old enough to remember this. Some of you guys, most of you are probably old enough to remember this. Ernie and I were talking about this the other day. I don't watch the lamestream media anymore, because they've been caught in so many lies. I pick and choose who I watch and how much I watch, but I mainly get my news from Ernie, just so you know, because I can't stomach it. And especially right now, it's really bad. But Ernie and I were talking, and I said, do you remember back in the good old days when you would watch the news, and we were in San Diego, so it was channel 10 or channel 8 or channel 39, and the news, they would report the news, like what happened that day. There was a robbery, there was a car accident, whatever happened that day. And then they would, like sprinkle in great things that were happening in your town, or your city, like parades or, whatever it is, you got a very balanced spectrum of things, And I said, do you remember that? Do you remember that? Do you remember when talk shows used to be funny? When you would turn on a talk show because it was super interesting, what they were talking about, or it was just super funny. Do you remember that? Yeah, I miss all of that now. And this is even with content creators, even independent conservatives or non-conservatives. It doesn't matter. Across the board, all of them feel like they have this platform to influence you into thinking the way they think. And I hate that. I told Ernie I cannot stand that. I don't care what side of the aisle you land on when it comes to politics. I don't care what side of the aisle or religion you fall on as far as religion goes. You know what I mean? I don't care what your personal beliefs are. I think that it's okay to share what's going on, share your opinion, and then hand it over to the audience and say, what are your thoughts? How do you feel? But not sit there and constantly try and get people to think the way you're thinking. You know what I mean? Remember when it was just give us the information, feed us the information, and then we were left to figure it out on our own, to do our own research, to come up with our own opinion. Remember that? Now, there may have been some persuasive people out there back then, and we didn't recognize it, or I didn't recognize it. There may have been. But I do remember when news seemed to be fair and balanced across the board. I don't remember it being the way it is right now, And, I follow a lot. I work conservative, so I follow a lot of conservative, independent people. And even right now, they're annoying me. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know nothing about war. I know nothing about war. Nothing. I know nothing about it. I just know that the Middle East has been in shambles for as long as I can remember. So I'm not going to use my platform to go on to Instagram or YouTube or TikTok or whatever it is, Facebook, and give you my 2 cents on what's going on. And this is what should be done. And this is what but you know what I mean? Like, nobody likes war. I can't even listen to it. For me, I just think of all the people that are dying, and that just breaks my heart. I don't like that. So I don't like to listen to any of it. So it makes me mad when people, all of a sudden everybody's an expert on war. And I'm like, oh, I just want to watch your channel and laugh or get real news or get real facts. I don't want you to sit there and try and persuade me into thinking a certain way. You know what I mean? It drives me nuts. And so it's across the board. Like I said, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle they fall on or align with or whatever it is. It's just everybody, of course, is now the professor of war. Everybody knows what's best. Nobody likes war. You know what I mean? I don't know anybody who likes war. Please tell me you don't like it. I don't like it. It's horrible. Laura, you can agree to disagree all you want. Don't care. Like, that's what the world is made up of. Like, we are allowed to disagree with each other. Like, it's like, that's another thing too that has become an opinion. It's like, if you agree with me or disagree with me, you're supposed to be mad about it or something. Like, why? We never used to be like that. You have to be able to respect each other. You know what I'm saying? And it's just wild to me. It's just wild to me. It blows my freaking mind. Nope, you can't believe anything you see. I don't believe anything anymore anyways. I feel like I'm living in an AI. I feel like everything is fake. It's funny because ChatGPT is now something that a lot of content creators are using. I don't think it's just ChatGPT, but I do believe a lot of content creators are using it. I used it like my free, I didn't buy it, but I used it. It's interesting for little things like hashtags or what else did I use it for? Hashtags, titles, that kind of stuff, just to see what it would come up with. And it was hit or miss. You know what I mean? My videos didn't do any better with that help than me on my own using my software that I have for SEO. So I gave it a shot just to see what it was all about. But I don't really believe that that there's anything. Oh, you agree with me, Laura? I don't, but it doesn't matter. Even if you didn't, Laura, I wouldn't care. Like, we could still be friends. Me and, I have a neighbor down the street and we disagree all the time, but we still love each other and sit on the back porch and talk and visit. And that's the beautiful thing about life. You can do that, I just wish the younger generation knew that, like, you can still be friends with people just because you don't agree with them about marriage or politics or God, or you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like, that's another thing too, the argument, Christian against Christian, and our pastor just talked about it, where you hear people, complaining with one another and, saying, well, if you're a Christian, you shouldn't be doing this. And, I'm a Christian and I would never do that, and, first of all, I don't align myself. I am a Christian, but I don't align myself with a religion because I'm in a personal relationship with God. And so I love my church, and I love that my church teaches the Bible, and we go book by book and line by line. And, Pastor Corey is a great way of explaining it, and it's just wonderful. But the fact that he was talking about how, you have two Christians that are, or said to be Christians that are, combating one another, fighting with one another. And that's not where God wants your energy. You should be taking that energy and focusing it towards non-believers, you know what I mean? Having conversations with non-believers and rather than each other, trying to convince each other to think like one another, you know what I mean? And I think that that's so wrong anyways. And I think that's why a lot of people stay away from God, from having a relationship with God, is because it's such a bad thing to hear people judge. You know what I mean? I'm not innocent of it. Okay. So let me just say that right now and in the forefront. In past years, I have been very judgmental. I have learned not to be judgmental. I think I told you guys that probably 6 months, 8 months ago. I told you that that was something that I was working on. And I still am to a degree, but that was something about myself I couldn't stand and I needed to work on. And so I'm proud of that. I'm very proud of that because I think it's a natural thing for us to want to judge, you know what I mean? And I didn't like it. And I still do, I still do. And then I'll say, oh Lord, I'm so sorry. You know what I mean? Like I catch myself now where I didn't before, and so that's good. That's a good thing. And, but the fact that you have two believers arguing with one another, that's what turns people off from studying the Bible and having a relationship with God. It's because they think they've got to give up this life that they know, you know what I mean? They've got to give up everything that they know and in order to have a relationship with God. And that's not how it works. The relationship you build with God is going to want to make you change all of those things that you do that aren't good, that you're not happy with, which is why you're seeking a relationship with God in the first place, right? So when I read the Bible, when I start my day off with scripture and I read my Bible and I start my day off with prayer, even if it's just prayer for the day, because I'm going to tell you what, the devil has been after me for this whole time during my injury. And I'm going through a thing where I'm not picking my Bible up and I'm praying, but I'm not every day, but I'm not picking my Bible up. That's my fight. That's my thing that I'm going through right now and I'm working on. But when I read my Bible, when I, say my prayers, when I start my day off that way, it just naturally makes me want to do good that day. Doesn't mean I'm perfect. You know what I mean? I still get mad, I still maybe say, have choice words for somebody if they cut me off on the road. It doesn't mean I'm perfect. Nothing about it means nobody's perfect. And so I just wish that people who, are believers, that are studying the Bible, that are, have a close relationship with God, would not judge others, because I think we would have more people that would come to Jesus. And just developing that relationship with him is what creates such a difference in you. It just makes you, let me tell you, I used to watch The Housewives. Now, mind you, a lot of the shows that I watch are for entertainment purposes only. So I got to the point where I didn't watch regular TV. I watched Housewives and I watched Everybody Loves Raymond, Golden Girls, Friends. And I go through my little eras with those. Right now I'm in, and I've been for quite some time, in the Raymond, Everybody Loves Raymond era. Yeah, I love that show. I watch I watch all 9 seasons over and over and over again. I just love it. So, and it makes me happy and puts me to sleep and I have happy thoughts. But, what was I saying? Oh, I used to watch The Housewives. And as soon as I started deep diving into the Bible, started reading the Bible, I naturally removed myself from watching that. It's just natural. Not because the Bible told me not to, not because my church told me not to, not because anybody around me told me not to. It was simply because in reading the Bible and studying the Bible and, just wanting to be a better person, I realized I didn't want that poison in my head. And it matters what you watch. It really does. It matters what you watch. It matters what you allow to seep into your brain. It really plays a role. And I learned this many years ago. I learned if you start your day off on a negative note, that just kind of solidifies the rest of your day, the rest of your day is going to go. And so it's funny, I was talking to my son and daughter-in-law about this in California when I went out there, and I was saying, it's so cool how you can, when you just start reading the Bible and studying God's word, how you just naturally, it's like natural. As you develop a relationship with him, you just want to do better. You know what I mean? And that's how it should be, and so you don't want people to judge others and make them feel like crap about who they are. You want them to come as they are to church and start developing a relationship with God, because God's going to change them. It's not your job to change them. It's God's job to change them. You know what I mean? It's not your job. Not even the pastor can change somebody. And the pastor, if he's a good pastor, will tell you that, not even he can change. That's really God's work. But you don't want to stop somebody from walking in the front door of church and hearing God's word and worshiping and all of that stuff. You want them to feel welcome, wherever they go. And you just want them to develop a relationship. It's no different when you are, with your boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, when you're dating, you always want to look good. You always want to, just be nice, and you're always trying to, impress your partner. And so that's kind of how it is for, reading the Bible. You want to impress God, and so you make changes, and it just comes naturally. You just want to do better, So I quit watching The Housewives, which is wild, because every time I'd watch them, I'd be like, oh my gosh, why do they not have any clothes on? You know what I mean? And, it's like, I have to be really careful of what I watch. Not that I judge, but I'm like, they are on TV, you know what I mean, where they've got millions of viewers, and it's all about the hair and the makeup and the jewelry and the name brand and all that kind of stuff, which I thought was fascinating when I would watch them. I thought it was absolutely fascinating. But the things that they did really was what turned me off. You know what I mean? I didn't realize how they were influencing me, and they were influencing me. Not that I was doing any of those things, but yeah, it got to be too much. So let me look. Yep. Lori, it's true. Lori said that. Yep. Lori said, I'm with you on that. I find it hard to believe anything anymore. 2 things I see on a daily basis. Is that even true? And what the heck is wrong with you? Same. So funny. Oh my gosh. I love Everybody Loves Raymond. And Friends. That's another show. You know what's funny about Friends? Their hairstyles have never, ever, ever went out of style from day one. Never. Today, you can watch them and know how old the show is, and they look like today. That's how in their hairstyles are. It's wild. New Jersey. Those girls, Dee, those girls, they didn't come back this year. I did look to see, because I need to know that Teresa and Melissa make up, but they didn't bring them back this year. I think they've been canceled. Did you ever watch them and think to myself, why are you guys competing with one another? Like, aren't you supposed to be like a big, happy Italian family? I don't get it. Big family Italian dinners and, pasta sauce thrown everywhere and drinking red wine and laughing and all that kind of stuff. No, all they do is want to fight with one another. Lisa, I don't know how else to be. It's like a blessing and a curse. Thank you. Lisa said she loves that I always keep it 100. I don't know how else not to, and it gets me in trouble sometimes, but I don't know how to be fake. I can't. Well, I suppose I could, but you guys would totally know if I was being fake because I'm so transparent. You stopped watching in 2021. Yes, Gloria. Well, Hollywood hasn't put out any movies anyways. You know what I mean? Like, I'll watch the old movies that I really enjoy. Like, I love, let's see. I like Overboard. Is that what it's called? Overboard. Love that movie. I just watched, what is that movie? Oh gosh, I just watched it yesterday. It has, it's the husband and he's married. And I like Adam Sandler movies that he wrote and produced because I love the music and they're always so good. So him and Jennifer Aniston did one. I love that. I love Drew Barrymore and him, Adam Sandler, and 50 First Dates. Like, those are the kind of movies I like. And so for me, pulling Hollywood out of the box and letting them entertain me as they are intended, and then I put them back in their box until next time, but I'm not anymore. I don't follow the where you ban things, like don't shop at Target or don't shop here or don't shop there. I don't do that because I don't. And Hollywood's dumb anyways. I always have been dumb. So I still let them entertain me. But there isn't any good movies out. Oh, and we like Clint Eastwood. No, not Clint Eastwood. That guy that plays the dad in Taken and Taken 2. We love those kind of movies. Those are some of our favorites. There's that one movie with, we like on Paramount, we watch Reacher. We like that. We like Landman. We like that one. We like, I'm really excited about The Summer I Turned Pretty. There's 2 seasons. And it's on Netflix, and I canceled Netflix because there was some breach. So I canceled it. So I'm going to need to restart it when the season starts because there's a 3rd season coming up and it's the final season. And I just love those kind of movies. I always have. And so I like that kind of stuff. But I do pull Hollywood out and let them entertain me because I like it. And Ernie and I used to love going to the movies, the drive-ins, and going to the theater and getting popcorn. And it is a pastime for me, or it used to be, during the day, especially like in Florida. I could just walk to the theater. It's like a block away. And there's not anything good out. There isn't anything worth paying the money. So we'll wait until it comes on TV where you pay for it on TV, and we'll watch it in the comfort of our own home because it's just not so special that we need to go out and spend the ticket money and the popcorn and the licorice, the $100 that it costs you to go to the theater anymore. Tulsa Kings, love that one. Love it. That's another one that we love. Oh yeah, Preacher and Landman, love him. Liam, yes, he's so good. We love him in the movies. And I like Tom Cruise and I think he was also Reacher, right? But it was the actual movie. It wasn't like the actual show. We like him. And then Prancer said, yes, I remember when Teresa flipped that table. She's crazy, that one. But yeah, I watch old Hollywood. I like the old movies, the good ones, the funny ones. Sometimes I'll put on Jurassic Park or, one of those kind of movies that my boys watch when they were little. It's fun. One thing that I did quit watching that I used to love to watch is scary movies, like movies with possession and stuff like that. I used to love to watch those in the fall. Those were my favorite to watch, and I haven't watched them in quite a few years. But I did quit watching those because those are not good to watch. But that's my own opinion. But you do you. I used to love them. I loved them. I thought they were so good. But my son and daughter-in-law, they told us about The Chosen. We haven't started watching it. Hey, Tony. Lincoln Lawyer. I'm going to have to check that one out, Janet. I'm going to write it down. So I always forget the stuff that you guys tell me, but I had a piece of paper and a pen ready just in case. So I got my code for my pillow and I got Lincoln Lawyer. Everybody loves Raymond. He's so good because I'm Marie. I can relate to Marie. That's who I am. Except I would never go through my children's mail. I'm sure there's moms out there that do it. That's another thing that blows my mind is, so I noticed on Mother's Day, and this just really, it really made me mad on Mother's Day. On Mother's Day, I noticed, or it was the day after Mother's Day, actually, I'm sorry. I noticed on Instagram, there were so many posts of young moms bitching and complaining how they didn't have the day off that they deserved on Mother's Day. Now, before I go any further, let me explain to you my belief on that. There is no day off when you're a mom, not even on Mother's Day. You are still a mom. Even on Mother's Day, you're a mom. And I was able to do it I was 20 years old and I had a newborn and a 2-year-old, and I had no car and I had no washer and dryer, and I used to load my kids up in the double stroller and carry my trash bag full of dirty laundry and walk to the laundromat and do my laundry and come home and put it away. And yeah, I did it all. Okay, I had to walk to the grocery store and hang all my bags off the stroller and walk home and heist them and, the kids and the groceries up, to the second floor, because I lived on the second floor. I've done it all. And I was very prideful about keeping a clean house and all that stuff. So when I hear moms complain, there was this one mom, and I'm just going to share this one and then I'll move on. I actually have to go, but I'm going to share this one. The mom said that, I couldn't even believe the words. She said, I was told on Mother's Day that I was going to be able to sleep in. Instead, I was awoken by a excited 7-year-old jumping on me to give me her handmade card. And then I was drugged to the kitchen to fix her a bowl of cereal, where I proceeded to have to cook breakfast for my family. I don't know. She went on this rant and didn't even see the fault in her words. Like, you literally, I guess because I've already raised my kids and, looking back, it's always 20/20 vision, right? Because I'm sure I had days where, believe me. But I saw that, and it wasn't just her. It was all the comments of these girls commenting on this post, and they were bitching about how their day wasn't perfect either. And I thought to myself, you had an excited little 7-year-old girl who made a card the day before, probably, or the week before at school or what have you, and has probably been chomping at the bit to give it to you and woke you up. Oh my God, God forbid. You know what I mean? And all I could think about was when she's, 55 or 60 or whatever, and she's an empty nester, and she's going to remember that because she posted it on, and, she's going to remember that she told that story. She's going to remember that burned in her head, and she's going to remember that, and she's going to wish she could do it all over again times 100. You know what I mean? Because you miss your kids, you miss the noise and the chaos, and you miss it all. And I always tell you guys that I was the stickler for a clean house, and I wish that I would have sat on the floor and played with my kids more. But I was it was more important to me to prove to people that I was a young mom, yes, but I could do it all. And so I concentrated more on that than, spending time with my babies. And so right when I started having grandkids, probably the first, 7 years, I was still a stickler about a clean house, and I wouldn't let them touch things and all that kind of stuff. And I eventually just gave it all up. And I said, you know what? I don't care. It's just stuff. And it's just a mess that can be cleaned up. On Saturday, the two babies were having a freaking field day in my garden, picking flowers and bringing me flowers and all that stuff. And I heard Ernie, no, those are Letha's pretties. Those are Letha's pretties. And I'm all, babe, it's fine. It's fine. The flowers will grow back. Let them pick the flowers. I could care less. I could care less. Because I think that's why being a grandparent is so, so freaking cool, is because I think that's your second chance to make memories. You know, I mean, it's your second chance to write the things that maybe you wish you would have done as a mom, because, you know, or at least for me, that's the way I feel. So I am just so relaxed, which is why my, you know, my stove was dirty, because I cooked on Saturday morning. The kids came over Saturday afternoon. We ate. We didn't watch any TV. None of us turned our phone on. None of us were holding one of these. We sat around the table. We visited even after dinner. And then we went out to the back patio we sat out there until the rain started that night. And then we came in for another hour or so, and then they left. But we were there from like outside from like 2:30. We were together from like 2:30 until 10 o'clock at night. That's when we finally, I think it was like 9:30, we finally came in the house, and we had no social media. We had no phones, no distractions, no anything. We just visited, and we just had a good time. And I think that needs to happen more with families, because I tell you what, if I could count the tables where the whole family is sitting on their phone or tablets, or there's a couple sitting across from each other, both on their phones, or the kids sitting there with nothing to do and both parents are on the phone, I literally want to walk up to people and just smack them. I literally want to walk up to people and say, like, stop it. Put your freaking phone down. You know, you mean you can't sit and have a conversation with one another? It's just mind-blowing to me. It's just mind-blowing. All right. Oh, my gosh. I've been on here for 2 hours. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. I'm telling you what. I'm just a jibber jabber. All right. Let me make sure there's no... That's cool, Sherry. I don't. I have a lot, but not everything. Those macaroni necklaces. Hey, my oldest is old enough to remember making ashtrays. Okay, he's 41. Oh. All right, guys, I gotta go. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. It was fun, even though, well, of course I did all the talking. You guys can't talk, and hopefully I got to all your questions. After I sign off, I'll be able to go back and see if I missed anything, and I'll answer you in the comments. But I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. It was a fun 2 hours. And that's it. So we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. Bye.